Let's discuss. So here we mistake now here. Why Cripps mission failed? So the Cripps mission proposals failed to satisfy Indian nationalists and turned out to be mainly a propaganda device for the country consumption for the US and the Chinese. Various parties and groups had objections to the proposals on different points. So the objectives of the Congress objectives, the offer of dominant status instead of a province and for complete independence. Self-representation of the defenseless states by minorities and nominees, by the representation of the defenseless states by nominees and not by elected representatives. Right to the province and state and this went against the principle of national unity. So absence of any plan for independent transfer of powers and absence of any real shares in defense, the Governor General supremacy had been retained and the dominant that and the demand that the Governor Generals be only the constituent head had not been accepted. Nehru and Mathil and Maulana Azad were the official negotiation for the Congress. The Muslim League criticized the idea of the single Indian Union, though did not like them necessary for the creation of a constituent assembly and the procedure to decide on a accession of provinces or to the union, and thought that the proposals would deny the Muslims the right to self-determination and the creation of Pakistan. Other groups also objected to the provinces' right to sit. The liberals considered the Hassan's proposals to be against the unity and security of India. The Hindu Mahasabha criticized the basis of the rights to sit. The depressed class through the partisans who should be relieved from them at a mercy of the caste Hindus. The Sikhs objected the partisan will be take a Punjab from them. So the experience of the proposals meant not to supersede the Christopher, but the cloth general provision was resistant, cast doubts on the British intention. The capacity of Graves to go beyond the draft declares on the adoption of a rigid take it or leave it. Attitudes added to the deadlock. Graves had earlier talked of cabinet and national government, but later he said that he had only meant an expansion of the executive council. The procedure of accession was not well defined. The decision on succession was to be taken by a resolution in the legislature by 60% majority. If less than 60% members of the supported it, okay, the decision was to be taken by plebiscite of adult males of the provinces by a simple majority. The scheme voted against the Hindu in Punjab or in Bengal if they wanted accessions to the Indian Union. It was not clear as to who would implement and interpret the treaty affecting the transfer of power. Churchill, the British Prime Minister, the Secretary of State, then the Viceroy, and the Commander-in-Chief consistently torpedoed Graves' effort. Talks broke down the question of the Viceroy's veto. When they described the scheme of a post-dated check, Nehru pointed out that the existing structure and autocratic powers would remain, and a few of us will become the Viceroy's leveraged camp followers and to look after canteens and the like. Stafford Cripps returned home leaving behind a frustrated and embittered Indian people who, though still sympathizing with the victims of fascist aggression, felt that the existing situation in the country had become intolerable and that the time had come for a final assault of imperialism. So we discussed it. Okay, so here you can see. So in summary we discussed before. Thank you friends. Completed. Now we discuss Quit India movement and demand for Pakistan and the INA Quit India movement. After Graves' departure, Gandhi framed a resolution calling for British withdrawal and a non-violent, non-cooperation movement against any Japanese invasion. The Congress Working Committee meeting at Wardha in July 14, 1942 accepted the idea of a struggle. Why start a struggle? Start a struggle now. The reasons were several. The failure of the Cripps mission to solve the constitutional deadlocks exposed Britain's unchanged attitude on constitutional advances, and made it clear that any more silence would be tantamount to accepting the British right to decide the fate of Indians without consulting them. There was popular discontent between because of rising prices and shortage of rice, salt, etc. And because of factors such as commandeering boards in Bengal and Odisha, there, there were fears of Britain's following a scorched each policy in Assam, Bengal, and Odisha against possible Japanese advances. News of reverses suffered by British in Southeast Asia, and the imminent British collapse enhanced popular willingness to give expressions to discontent. The Japanese troops were approaching the borders of India. Popular faith, popular faith in the stability of British rule was so low that people were withdrawing deposit from banks and post offices. The manner in which the British evacuated from Southeast Asia, leaving the subjects to the trade. The two roads were provided: black road for Indian refugees and white road exclusively for European refugees. Okay, and the route of European power by an Asian power shattered white prestige, and the British behavior towards the Indian subjects in Southeast Asia exposed the racist attitude of the rulers. The leaders wanted to condition the masses for a possible Japanese invasion. The Quit India resolution, in July 1942, the Congress Working Committee met at Wardha and resolved that it would authorize Gandhi to take charge of the non-violent mass movement. The resolution, generally referred to as the Quit India resolution, proposed by Jawaharlal Nehru and seconded by Sardar Patel. It was to be approved by the All India Congress Committee meetings in Bombay in August. The Quit India resolution was ratified at the Congress meetings at Gwalior Tank, Bombay on August 8, 1942. The meeting also resolved to demand an immediate end to British rule in India, declare commitments of free India to defend itself against all types of fascism and imperialism from provincial government of India. After British withdrawal, sanction a civil disobedience movement against British rule. Gandhi was named the leader of the struggle. Gandhi's general instruction to different sections. Gandhi's special instructions were spelled out on the Gwalior Tank meeting, but not actually issued. They were directed at various sections of society. So government service do not resign but declare your allegiance to the Congress. Soldiers do not leave the army but do not fire on compatriots. Students, if confidence, leave studies. If peasants, if zamindars and anti-government pay mutually agreed rent, and if zamindars and are pro-government do not pay rent. Princes, support the masses and accept sovereignty of your people. Princely states, people support the ruler only if he is anti-government, and declare yourselves to be part of the Indian nation. Gandhi followed up with the now famous sorry famous exhortation. Here is a mantra, a short one, and that I give you. You may express, you may imprint it on your hearts, and let every breath of yours give expression to it. The mantra is do or die. We shall either for free India or die in the attempt. We shall not be live to see the perpetuation of our slavery. Speed of the movement. The Gandhi had carefully built the tempo through individual civil disobedience movements of Satyagraha, organizational revamping, and a constituent propaganda campaign. The government, however, was in no mood or to either negotiate. Government was in no mood to either negotiate with the Congress or wait for the movement to be formally launched. So the government, however, was in no mood or to either negotiate with the Congress or wait for the movement to be formally launched. In the early hours of August 1942, in a single sweep, all the top leaders of the Congress were arrested and taken to unknown destinations. The Congress Working Committee and the All India Congress Committee and the Provincial Congress Committee, the Provincial Congress Committees were declared unlawful associations under the Criminal Law Amendment Act of 1908. The assembly of public meetings was prohibited under the Rule 50 of the Defence of India rules. The removal of established leaders left the younger and militant elements to their own initiative, with the major leaders out of the picture. Young Aruna Savali, till the then relatively unknown, presided over the Congress committee sessions, and on August 9 and hoisted the flag public on rampage. The general public attacked symbols of authority and hoisted national flags forcibly on public buildings. Satyagrahis offered themselves to up to arrest. Bridges were blown off, railway tickets were removed, and telegraph lines were cut. This kind of activity was most intense in Eastern United Province, and where students responded by going to strikes in school and colleges, participating in processions, writing and distributing illegal news sheets, patrikas, and acting as couriers for underground networks. Workers went on strike in Ahmedabad, Bombay, Jamshedpur, Ahmednagar, and Pune. Underground activity. Many nationalists went underground and to subversive activities. The participants in these activities were the socialist bloc, Mahatma Gandhi, Asramites, revolutionary nationalists, and local organizations in Bombay, Pune, Satara, Baroda, and other parts of Gujarat, Karnataka, like Andhra, United Province, Bihar, and Delhi. The main personalities taking up Gandhi underground activity were Ram Manohar Lohia, Jayaprakash Narayan, Aruna Savali, Usha Mehta, Biju Patnaik, Chotu Bhai Puranik, Achyut Patwardhan, Sucheta Kripalini, P.P. Goenka, Usha Mehta started an underground radio in Bombay. This phase of underground activity was meant to keep up popular morale by continuing to provide a line of command and guidance to distribute arms and ammunition. Though the need of non-violence was always reiterated, Gandhi's mantra of do or die represented the militant mood of Gandhi. So usually public governments, parallel governments were established as many places. Okay, at many places, Balia in August. Okay, August 1942 for a week under Chittu Pandey. He got many Congress leaders released. Tamluk Midnapur from December 1942 to September 1944. Jatiyo Sarkar undertook cyclone relief work, sanctioned grants to schools, supplied paddy from the rich to the poor, organized Vidyut Vahinis, etc. Satara in mid 1943 to 1945 named Prati Sarkar was organized under leaders like the YB Chabhan, Nana Patil, etc. Village libraries and Nayadhan mandals were organized. Partisans campaigns were carried on, and Gandhi marriages were organized. Active help was probably provided by businessmen, through donations, shelter, and material help. Students acting as couriers, simple villagers by refusing information to authority, pilots and train drivers by delivering bombs and other materials, and government officials, including police, who passed secret information to the activists. Extent of mass participation next to discuss. So thank you.